Welcome, adventurers. I'm GM Coblin. This is Throne and Liberty, and today is the eve of the Call of the Spear, December 4th. And if you've been paying attention this week, you know everyone's chomping at the bit to try out the new weapon that comes tomorrow. So get to sleep early and remember your cookies and milk, because at 10:30 p.m. on the Pacific Coast, you're going to have the servers down. I think it's going to go down for about 8 hours. Could be a little less, not quite sure. But one of the main draws is going to be the new weapon, the Spear. Spear specializes in exploiting enemy weaknesses for faster eliminations, quick crowd control, and renders those who stand in your way defenseless with the Spear's unique abilities. Gale Rush to close gaps on the battlefield, well-timed Javelin to finish off any foe. The Spear is a powerful weapon that excels in almost every playstyle. And if you looking at any of the Korean gameplay that has been coming out today, because it released in Korea today, you're going to see that a lot of people are raving with it working with daggers, great swords, little drawn. And though a lot of people have said it's going to be good, I have not seen much theory crafting when it comes to your SNS and Spear. There's a lot of people that are a little disappointed when it comes to the bow and the staff, since they are two-hand weapons, and this specifically is supposed to give you bonuses with two-hand weapons. Let's see what the other patch notes are for this event, almost, since they decided to not give it a number like the last ones. Defense countering. Certain spear skills disable defense for enemies for 6 seconds. That's true. There's an option to where you can pierce through. It's a little anti-tank, but they're giving us some things back this patch, so I can't be too mad at them. Plus, I'm kind of excited to try it out with my SNS. Debuff stacking. Stacking damage over time. One of the main things that I saw was stacking ignite or burn effect to get ember stacks, and it increases your damage. There are several defensive abilities as well. I think mostly you're looking at okay damage. I can't say for sure whether or not in the right spec it's going to be equal to your greatsword. It's not going to be for burst, but the dot damage looks like it will be okay, especially for farming mobs with all of its AoE attacks. So I think that's where it's really going to shine. And then utility, some of the abilities it's got. I'll go over this probably tomorrow when it releases, since there's a whole lot of mistranslations on the Korean side, even on an English version. And so I'm just going to wait to see. And then I'll still probably have to play with it, as bad as translation is on this game. Condition skills. Some abilities have defensive effects when used on friendly target or offensive targets. That's true. One of them actually, which could cause a little bit of trouble, because I always keep myself targeted, because I do SNS and wand most of the time in dungeons. And it allows you to teleport, and I believe remove debuffs from an opponent or from a party member, or teleport to opponents and deal damage. But moving on, dimensional trials. Challenge your favorite dungeon and various difficulty options. Depending on your chosen difficulty, dungeon will have higher enemy stats, harder boss mechanics, additional effects applied, clear higher levels to contribute toward leadership boards and seasonal rewards. Dimensional trials can be challenged repeatedly and do not have a cost to enter. 2 dimensional trials will be available each week for you to select from. To take on a dimensional trial, players must have cleared the 2-star dungeon of the same name at least once after the content update. So we're going to have to run the dungeon at least twice whenever this goes live tomorrow morning. And then whichever one it is, we'll be able to go play. Party leader chooses the stage of the dungeon to enter, so you get to pick your level. Party members must meet a minimum combat power to enter. The timer will not begin until the players interact with the time device inside the dimensional trials. No time. to complete the level, but additional levels will be accessed based on the time taken to clear one. Future dimensional trials can be initiated at higher difficulty levels based on the prior completion milestones by the party leader. Clear additional levels to obtain new runes, which is another system which is going to be complicated, confusing to casual and new players, but is going to provide us with a lot of extra stats. This is one of the main ways, from what I've heard, we're going to be able to get our runes from. I also heard that open dungeons seem like a good idea, so I've got a whole bunch of those saved up. But get runes as rewards, as well as progress towards the dimensional trials achievements and seasonal rankings. We have a new 2-star dungeon, Torture Chamber of Screams. Archaeum Legion and the Salavian Order have joined forces to develop a torture chamber within the Shadow Crypt. So I have not seen much. It looks pretty cool from what I have seen. There's a few mechanics to it, especially one involving pressing buttons inside of jail cells, which apparently have caused a lot of people some issues. So remember, communicate, everybody be calm on these dungeons, and don't get too toxic. I know it's hard, but let's not. Organize your own. Also, this is where your pants should be coming from if you've been missing those. So, war games. Organize your own competitive matches with custom team compositions through war games. Stage friendly bouts, practice with your guild, or leave an open call to anyone to join the fight. Compete with players from your own server as well as other servers within your region. Set up private and public matches of your choice with choice of Boonstone and Riftstone conflict maps, up to 4 teams going head to head. You've got view a list of war games in participation or already underway. Spectators are welcome. This is going to be fantastic for guilds to practice peeling off, to practice any of their PvP tactics, to practice calling. It's going to be a great way to have a large space and just do more PvP. So it'll be fun. Maybe you can even figure out your own little reward system like we used to do back in the old days for events you run. Rune system, new method to further enhance equipment has arrived. The rune systems. Okay, so we'll get into this later on in full. There are some videos already out. I am behind because of my vacation and everything. But regardless, your rune sockets have been added to epic grade weapons and accessories. Equipment runes that match this type open rune sockets to a piece of gear and grant additional stats to the item. You can, if from what I've heard, buy these sockets with Lucent, or you can unlock sockets by paying Solent, selecting the socket type. Runes must match the type of the socket to be equipped. So from what you're looking at, and there's different tiers. I believe we will only be seeing blue tier max. We will not be going to epic. That might be a little bit too high. You're going to be looking at getting not only increase attack abilities, but defensive. We're talking evasion is possibly on the table. There's going to be some dagger guys with astronomical evasion after this, but that's okay. We can stack our to hit to match just as much. So run if you can. It's pretty good from what I've seen, but with everything else that's coming out, I wonder if everything they're releasing in this one update is not just a little too much. But it's going to allow you to customize your stuff and to pad some of your stats if you are missing, which this update is going to change probably how a lot of people want their stats to be anyway, probably me included. Material transformations is a new system that converts a variety of items into materials for other items. Bound equipment or runes can be fed into transformation to increase the potential output of item based on the total value of items consumed. Material transformation of equipment items can be used to create other equipment items of grade determined by the items consumed. Material transformation of runes which is where I first heard about this, can be used to create new runes or rune fragments based on total value of the runes consumed. Access material transformation menu from your menu. I'm assuming this is mostly for the runes. There is a system that is in Korea that allows you to upgrade. We're going to have to play with this. I'm sure there's going to be tons of guides put out tomorrow. This game does not leave you lacking if you want to make content. That's for sure. New stat. Here's another big change. There is a new stat, Fortitude. The main stat has been, a new main stat has been introduced, Fortitude. Increase your Fortitude stat to benefit your vitality significantly, as well as boost your base damage, magical defense, melee, magic, ranged endurance, and CC resistance. So this is going to be another one of those where the first tier that you get, you're looking at increasing your endurance. You're going to be able to run or block more, which is fantastic for us tanks. Also, I don't know how high we're going to need to take this, but increasing your endurance and then the CC resistance, which Spear is adding more CCs. So we'll see if they can fix or put a time limit on it. Primary route to increase your Fortitude stat is through stat bonus on Spear weapons. So this is going to be a big one if you main Spear. Fishing Codex. I haven't done much fishing, but this is kind of cool. Intrepid Fishers of Silicium rejoice. A new fishing codex has been added to the game, accessible via the main menu under the content section. Fishing Codex keeps track of the fish you've discovered during your adventures, offers new rewards when discovering fish. So, I mean, it's something else added. I think it's good. Add something like this. We'll get some more guides at it, some more looks at it. And improvements have been made to the visual presentation of fishing locations, as well as categorization of fishing related inventory items. So that'll be interesting tomorrow. General Collection Codex improved their interface. Party invite settings. Add an option to automatically reject party invites from various sources. You can restrict party invitations. Thank goodness, because I don't know how many times you're going through a dungeon and you constantly get invites, especially when you don't want them. So this will be good for us. We can put it so we can't get invites anymore, hopefully, unless of course we're already, or unless it's from the guild. So that'll be good. Remove hostile relationship option and list from guild relationships. So if you don't know what this is, you would use it so that you would always see hostile relationships in guilds. Bad thing is, a lot of people in some servers would make mega guilds using this as a way to extend who they considered to be an ally. So they would put people on hostile, and then at events, they would do best to target everyone else. So they got rid of it. Dominion events. Joining a Dominion event now enables automatic party matchmaking at the as default behavior to assist with further. That is fantastic. Dungeons reduce the amount of abyssal contract tokens awarded from 20 to 40. I'm not really sure who this affects. Maybe there were some high guys that were down there and messing with lower dungeons, but I mean, who knows? Comment if you have dealt with it, or if maybe you were one of the recipients for the damage that caused this change. Guilds corrected the display of guild levels, experience, and guild UI. That's good. All right, so event schedules. Multiple corrections, no kidding, have been made to the schedule in-game events and fix incorrect event times impacted by daylight savings times. Changes to an issue found 1.8. Yeah, we've been having this. Let me see. Last night, so we had to wait to 2 o'clock Eastern time for something that should have been at midnight, I thought. Or 1 o'clock, I should say. Inter-server conquest battles will now take place weekly at 9 p.m. on the local server time zone, so that's good. All right, and even though I didn't cap mine out, weapon mastery level cap increased from 16 to 20. So that's all right for those of you that have. Conflict mode players are now initiated combat on other players in conflict modes areas with abilities rather than having to enter PvP contact with auto attacking first. So you can step in and immediately fire off your flash wave. Arena players are now recovering HP and mana. It should have already happened. I mean, I usually run a wand, so I don't care, but still. Dungeon Roaring Temple fixed an issue where an individual players could occasionally become stuck, unable to attack King Chimera after executing one of the boss's mechanics. Never had that happen. Endurance, a partial fix to prevent extreme low value scaling of endurance due to debuffs, implemented with additional stat debuff calculations adjusted, coming in a future update. This temporary fix is intended to address the current issue with endurance being reduced below 0 in some. That could explain a few things. Crowd control CC immunity adjusted the calculation for crowd control immunity based on the type of CC being applied. Collision will trigger CC immunity the fastest. Stun, sleep, and fear will cause CC immunity the second fastest. I mean, fear is being added, and it's pretty detrimental. Kind of walk around, can't do anything. So it sounds to me like you're a sitting duck, but the spear ability that does this kind of telegraphs quite a bit. Now, when it comes to sleep bombing is already a huge thing, so we'll see. Collision got hit the hardest, so other less common effects will trigger CC immunity at a slower rate. Shocks and stuff. I mean, we do need a meter. I come from BDO, so there was a limit where you could CC, and then of course different CCs had different effects, like 1.5, 1, 2, or 0.75 depending, and it was a scale. We don't know exactly how this is going to happen, if there's a time limit, if it automatically starts decreasing, so that's going to be something we're going to have to play with. They don't always go into good explanation of the abilities, either in patch notes or in the game. Sword increased the amount of contribution gained from several abilities. I'm assuming this and this are going to be for whenever we're on boss fights, because contribution gained from several abilities, yeah, maybe increase to your healing, and then of course all the defensive abilities that we throw on us and our party members that don't get registered in compared to all the DPS guys. So maybe in my 100 and some odd bosses that I've done, I'll get more than a pair of blue boots that I don't even think I could lithograph. Longbow. Oh, let's make everyone mad. Flash arrow. Flash wave specialization. Removed. Okay, I'll finish the sentence. Removed the expanded area of damage granted by this specialization. Now only increases the effective range of healing granted to allies. Okay, so this is going to mean you're going to have ribbons instead of an entire battlefield. I think your longbow still won't be bad, but there's a lot of people that took longbow for no other reason than that. And so we're probably going to be seeing a change, although they probably did it at the same time with the spear because they wanted to push more people to spear. Oh, let's increase the size of this. I didn't realize how small that was. There we go. And under longbow again, devoted shield added damage reduction effect. Okay, a little more defense for you. Great sword, Gaia crush, damage against monsters increase. All right. Staff, infernal meteor, damage against monsters increased by 40. Icebound added a freeze removal effect. For specialization, can now target the caster tip. Okay. So another defensive ability. Icebound tomb. Ice armor specialization replaces previous freeze removal specialization. Ice armor now grants cooldown reduction to Icebound tomb. Serial firebombs. Focus firebomb specialization reduce the duration of the recovery effect. Diva from 6 to 3. Thank you, because that's ridiculous. I know that they don't always like us tanks, but seriously, Templar, that was real bad. So we've got some other buffs too. Wand, Ray Disasters, got an increase for monsters. UI, guilds added 10 new guild pins, so that's good. New entry field can now be moved separately from chat window. That's good. Let's see, rankings. Okay, UI added a new ping meter that will be displayed. Okay. Removed a misleading ability UI related to future content. Okay, I don't know what that is. And then some console stuff. So all in all, there's going to be a whole lot for us to cover to make new builds and to go through the new dungeon. And then this, of course, is something I'm sure all of us are going to spend a little bit of time on. I want to see if my third weapon needs to still be the greatsword, or if maybe I can get away with going for spear. I think greatsword is still going to be better if I'm piecing it with my wand, specifically for being able to almost tank, because it has some taunt abilities to it. But the wand, and I actually think wand and spear, I need to really look at it, might not be bad, because spear plays off a lot of abilities from all the other classes. Collision, curse, or weaken, all sorts of stuff. So it should be fun. Get your rest, boys. Tomorrow's a busy day.